Okay, 1, 2, chuffy, chuffy, 1, 2. I've pressed the button, so now we're streaming. I'm not exactly completely finished setting it up, but we pressed the button, so now we're streaming. So let's just see it running. Check, check, chuffy, 1, 2. Just give me a second for the sound check. Okay, 1, 2, chuffy, chuffy, 1, 2. I've pressed the buttons. Yep, got the sound check running. Just realised I haven't got the background music on. So I'm just going to pop in some very light, relaxing background music. What should we use? Animal Crossing we've been using for a little bit recently. It's alright, it sits nicely in the background. What do you think? Yeah, go on then. Ah, not this. Not this horrible advert. Oh, it's not an advert. This is actually the video. Okay, thanks Peekaboo. Thanks Peekaboo. Let's hear it then. There you go. Slip that nicely into the background. What we're doing today? Well, I've already done 40 seconds chuffing. Sorry about that. I should be straight into it. No, what we're doing today is conspiracy theory iceberg. Whoa! Conspiracy theory iceberg? What do you mean? All of the conspiracy theories? Yeah, all of the conspiracy theories. What do you mean all of them? I mean all of them. This Chuff Wendigoon has done a video a little while ago now. I even watched the first video, saw him appear on YouTube. He's now got a million subscribers. What he seems to do is talk chuffing conspiracy theories, and he's done so much talking of it. He's done 9 videos, and he's put them all together in this big long one video. Look, oh my chuffing god, it's a 9-hour video. So we're not going to do the whole thing today. We're not going to get to do the whole thing today, are we? But we're going to get to do some of it. What we'll do is we'll do tier 1, hopefully. Tier 1. It goes 9 tiers long. It's also got an image. It's on Reddit. It's in the link in the description below. This is the image. There's the image. Boom. So you can see the whole... Look at how big and long it goes. Look at how big and long it goes. And then boom. I can zoom in. There's the top. This is what we're doing today. Top. I want to say what we're doing. Now, I've watched a bit of Wendigoon. I'll give it a little bit of a précis. I'm not dissing him. I'm not dissing him. I think it's interesting, his content. But I get the impression that he doesn't really adhere to these conspiracy theories. I get the impression he's just listing them. And it's a lot of work to list them even, just to list them. So I'll give him that. But what we're doing is we're going to do it in review. So I'm not just going to say what they are, I'm also going to say my opinions on them. Hi Nigel, yeah, the word game was fun yesterday, wasn't it? We did words yesterday. Obviously variety, I'm flitting back and forth. I don't think I'm going to do words every day, because then I'm just like, then I'll turn into Countdown. I'll be Richard Whiteley, and this will be Countdown. Oh, we could get a Carol Vorderman or a Rachel. What's her name? Rachel. I don't even know her surname because I don't watch the modern Countdown. Don't watch the modern Countdown. I still remember Vorderman. But yeah, we're going to do that probably Wednesday word games, I think. Try and, you know, I want to try and get a bit of a routine. So maybe Wednesday word games. Does that sound right to you? I don't know. Oh, I keep pressing that. So what we're doing today though, and what I hope will be good today, is these conspiracy theories. Now, Rachel Riley, that's it. Rachel Riley, that's the one. That's the one, isn't it? She's a bit good at maths, isn't she? She's a bit good at maths. Rachel Riley, she's the one. Yeah. And now that I've mentioned it, let's just quickly show the Americans what we're talking about. In the UK, we have a quiz show called Countdown. And what happens is they read out letters. I mean, it's quite famous. When I say quite famous, I want Vorderman as well. I want Countdown, let's just put 90s. See if we can get here we go, there's Countdown 1997. So already we're supposed to be doing the conspiracy theory stuff. We'll do a little bit of showing the Americans what Countdown is. That's not it. That's not it. And then give people a chance to arrive. Because I was an hour late for stream today because I was sorting out other videos on the channel and sorting out thumbnails, messing about, that sort of thing. So anyway, this is Countdown. And that's Richard. He's the host. He's the host. And what they do is they have teams, individuals, play against each other, and there's a dictionary corner, and then they ask for letters and they do the word game. So let's see them asking for the letters and doing a quick word game.
Vowel, please.
There's Carol.
Okay, we start with E.
Vowel, please.
A.
Vowel.
E.
So you get the gist. They ask for the letters, then the letters are there, and then they make words out of them. And it's called Countdown, and you can tell why. Can't you? You can tell why. As that clock counts down, there's a bit of a famous bit of music here.
Yes, Michael.
5.
5 for Michael Allen, Joe.
6.
6.
And they say what kind of words they got, how many... They first of all say the number of letters, and then they say what the word is. And there's a very famous round, well, famous in the UK at least, called the numbers round. And what happens is Carol Vorderman, who was a bit of a maths whiz, they do the same thing with the numbers. Look, there's the numbers, and then the number at the top is what you've got to get. So you pick out random numbers, and then you've got to make the big number with them. And they have a crack at it, and if they can't get it, then Carol Vorderman will do it for them, because she always can do it, because she's a bit...
Yeah, and take them away, 365.
Well done.
She always gets it, because she's a maths whiz. So that was the old countdown, right? And then they updated it over the years, didn't they? I mean... Things change. Richard died. Carol Vorderman, don't know what she went on to do really, but now you've got Rachel Riley, and they also did Countdown as a comedy show later on in the evening, as a sort of panel comedy show. 8 out of 10 cats does Countdown, but Countdown, they updated Carol Vorderman with Rachel Riley. I want to be careful just to show a standard... Oh look, amazing Countdown moment. She spells her own name. There we go
it's
then.
R and a vowel, I and a consonant, L and a vowel, E and a consonant. Go for it.
There you go, the updated Carol with Rachel Riley. Nothing to do with conspiracy theories, just thought we'd start off the episode in style. Now, this is going to be 9 minutes long. 9 minutes? No, 9 hours. 9 hours. Hello, Uncontrolled Historian. The latency on YouTube is far worse than Twitch. So it doesn't allow for interactivity as well. Is that right, Nigel? We're just doing a bit of chat here, Uncontrolled Historian, before we get going. Gaming Ego Tax. I don't know what that means. Is the latency worse? Because YouTube's got a set of buttons which Twitch doesn't have. So it told me, look, you're going to be wanting to use really super low latency. So I said, okay, YouTube, let's give it a go. I used super low latency mode yesterday, and I thought it would work. So we will review it. I haven't even looked at that stream yet to review it, but if that's the case, yeah. The bottom line is that YouTube is going to be our growth platform for Chuff stuff and Chuff. If I'm going to be playing a game like Genshin Impact, which goes on for hours and hours and hours and weeks and months, and you really get into it and it's a deep game, then I'll play the game on Twitch, because I think 8 hours of playing a game on YouTube as a stream is just not... Like, YouTube's had gaming here. I've talked about this before, just briefly chatting now. YouTube's had gaming on the platform for a long time. It's never really taken off. Your comment... Oh, today we're not on low latency. We're not on low latency today, Nigel. Good point. Today we're on rubbish latency, because I've got two choices. I either have low latency and no what they call closed captions, or I have closed captions, and when I turn on the closed captions, it blocks off the latency choices and says, fuck you, latency. I've sworn now straight away. It says, chuff off latency. We're doing closed captions today. So I put closed captions on. Maybe I shouldn't do the closed captions. I mean, it's just an option I have. But I can't change that now we're running. It's blocked off now. So I apologise if today your comments run a little slower. We'll try different settings over the future episodes, and we'll find out which one, which one is the right one. So I apologise if there's a little bit of delay on the comments today. Yeah, so gaming we're going to stick on Twitch, and we're going to do all this chuffing on YouTube, and it's growing, so I think that makes sense. I've still got a little bit of a problem, because I'm even doing it now. I'm trying to make these episodes... I'll just do this as a little chat now, why not? Big face, little chat. what they tend to do on Twitch is they'll run the stream for 8 hours. Like I'll turn a standard Twitch streamer of the Twitch generation. They'll get up in the morning, switch on their computer, get themselves a cup of coffee, sit down. Hello, good morning. This is me. We're on stream. What are we doing today? Or whatever I feel like. You know, we'll just do this, we'll do that. You know, you might be playing this game for 5 hours. You might be talking politics, watching the Amber Heard thing. You know, you could do variety. They tend to do, like, you might be a League of Legends streamer and you might play League of Legends for 10 hours straight. You know, they tend to fall into their little lanes, don't they? Their little niches. The closed captions came up with thing when you swore. So it knows I swore. It knows I swore. So you tend to run these sort of 8 hour streams as a cultural phenomena, and that's accepted on Twitch. People tune in when they tune in, they drop out when they drop out. All the best bits get edited into more digestible content for YouTube. So you'll edit your 20-minute best bit or your half-hour chat about this, or you know, whatever. You edit your best bits, and someone like Asmongold, Web browsing. Where am I? Here I am. Web browsing.
The title.
It's careful. We're going to watch your conspiracies in a second. We're just going to warm up to it. If I just show you Asmongold TV is the Twitch. Is not the Twitch. The Twitch stream goes on Twitch. He's on there for 8 hours, 4 to 6, 8 hours a day. You know, like constantly. If I tune into Twitch now, he'll be on, like long streams. But this channel is all the edits. So at the moment there's a lot of Johnny Depp and stuff, but you'll notice, look, 20-minute video, 20-minute video, 40-minute video, 9-minute video, 38-minute video. As the stream does little chapters, we talk about this for 20 minutes, then it gets edited off and put on the YouTube as a 20-minute video. This stuff is where you get the majority of his views. You'll get 1 million views on some of these videos. You won't get necessarily 1 million views on the stream. You know, he can get a lot of views on the stream. Don't get me wrong, he does get a lot of views on his stream. He's one of the top streamers. But he'll get all the long-term, the legacy views when people come back to watch it later on in their own time, or when they miss the stream. And like I do, because I'm in the UK and he's in America, I'll watch in my own time on the YouTube. So that's how Twitch and YouTube interact, is you want to become a bit of a bigger streamer. So you stream on Twitch all the time, so you're there, so people know they can come and watch you. And then you promote yourself on YouTube and you develop a separate audience that some of them filter over and watch you on Twitch, some of them don't and stay on YouTube. That's been the tradition of it, and it's about building your Twitch stream, because Twitch doesn't have very good discoverability. It's not a search engine, but this YouTube is a search engine. So if I search, you know, gambling streamers, then maybe his video about gambling streamers comes up. But if I go on Twitch and search gambling, it will just be like a big list of everyone that's gambling today. So it'd be different. So that's the old theory. But now what's happening that's different is you're getting more viewers on this YouTube channel than on the Twitch. The big streamers have to make a decision based on their income, you know, which platform provides more income. I'm not making that decision. I'm making a decision based on growth. And the interesting thing about it for us is that when we stream on Twitch, we have fewer people just... I keep knocking the mic. I've moved the microphone today down here, so hopefully it's all right. When we stream on Twitch, we have fewer people discovering us organically. And when we stream on YouTube, we've got people that just coming into the stream. I've noticed our streams get more viewers. A stream I do should get more viewers on Twitch. A stream should. A live stream on YouTube should get fewer viewers than a Twitch stream. But actually, it's the other way around for us as we're growing, because YouTube is growing as a stream platform. If I just streamed games, it wouldn't be the case. Because I do all this other chuff, actually, this live stream today about conspiracy theories will get more views live on YouTube than it will on Twitch for us. So now what I'm doing is I'm streaming on YouTube, yeah? Fair enough. But what about that whole thing about 8 hours of content, editing it down? 8 hours of content and editing it down.
Description
for our channel, we've got, if you look at your channel, what we're watching today, the channel you're watching on, Ganja Kid, is the VODs archive. This is the 8 hour streams. This is the big long things. Originally, when we first started this channel, sort by oldest, we did Twitch streams for a long time. Not that long when I started, you know, hours, 2 hours. But, you know, all my streams were on stream, hours, 2 hours. There's a 2 hour Firewatch. And then but there's a 4 hour Firewatch stream. And then I bundled it up there as a VOD. So it's just dumped on YouTube as this channel. And then the idea was that I was going to do that practice of editing it down. So you got Ganji cuts here. These are our videos that I've been editing. So if you want a 20-minute video, You know, that's my Asmongold TV there. That's the one people are supposed to be picking up on YouTube, and it directs you to the Twitch. It didn't happen like that for me. These videos got fewer views than my long form content. So that doesn't make sense, but it's how it is. So anyway, so the long form content, this channel that you're watching now, is the one that's going to be, I'm not just going to dump, now that I know this is how it's working, I'm not going to do an 8-hour Twitch stream and dump it on here, because it's going to put the viewing count, the people aren't going to want that over here, it's going to put the viewing count down. I've already had a comment, you talk too much, I'm doing it right now. So what we're going to be doing over here is we're going to be live streaming, but not 8 hours. Live streaming, and it's my job to try and make the stream punchy and full of content. When you do an 8-hour stream, I can switch it on, I can go and get a coffee, I can go to the toilet, whatever, it doesn't matter, it's an 8-hour stream, you know, it's just on. That's the culture on Twitch. On Twitch, if I get up now and go for a cup of coffee and a toilet break, I'll just leave the stream running. It's the culture. But what I'm trying to do on YouTube now, as a YouTube streamer, is make more condensed, shorter, hour, 2 hours maximum streams that are full of content, where if I wanted a toilet break, I'd wait to the end. I wouldn't get up and go in the middle, because we're doing a show. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit different from a Twitch stream. It's a YouTube stream. So with all that in mind, I've got to now try and make our streams more, like I just said, more to the point, more direct, more fun, a bit shorter maybe. You know, maybe we don't go on for 5 hours on a stream here, because we're going to do another one tomorrow, and we're going to do another one tomorrow, and we're going to do it. So if I do a big long 5-hour stream, who's going to watch it tomorrow and the day after? It gets lost. It gets lost. But if you do an hour, 2 hours, and it's good, people will still come back and watch that. It doesn't have to get lost. So you'll see on this channel now, we've got our Twitch streams, are the Genshin Impact streams, and I'm still trying to make them reasonable. They're 2 hours plus. We've got between 2 and 3 hours going at the moment with most of our streams, and that's because I do all this chuffing. I've already just done it now. For some 15 minutes. It's been interesting for me, maybe. It's been interesting for you, maybe. How come you're able to use your camera without changing the battery? We've got that plug now. It's plugged in at the wall, Nigel. It's not overheating either. It's just not doing it. It just seems okay. It just feels happy. It did get really hot the other day, but it didn't overheat. So we plugged it in at the wall, and no more batteries now. All that money I spent on batteries is now useless. Until I do another job where I take the camera. But yeah, so there's a little note about how our streams are. If you come to these streams and you're finding them too verbose, if I'm doing too much talking, I do appreciate we're not supposed to be doing a load of chuff, but it's somewhere in the middle. It's a bit like a radio show, you know, it goes on for about 3 hours. There's a bit of chuff, there's a bit of gold. That's the idea. And as you see, that was the other thing I wanted to note. Today, there's a brand new video, or there should be here, on our videos. Or have I not made it live yet? I just spent a fucking hour doing the thumbnail and doing the meta tagging. We've got a new video about Genshin Impact. If I do playlists, Genshin Impact, is it not on there? Our latest Genshin Impact episode. Yeah, there it is. Streamer Luck, 2 wishes. Genshin Impact free to play at the bottom there. So we've got a new Genshin Impact video out. That's up now on the channel, and at the same time I'm doing a live stream. So it's actually wrong for me. I should be releasing a video and not doing the live stream over the top of it. You can't watch both things at the same time, can you? So wait till after this. Anyway, let's go to the conspiracy theory. This guy's called Wendigoon, and he's been describing the conspiracy theories. I'm not going to diss him, but I do think if you're going to bring up conspiracy theories, then maybe you should make some sort of comment about the validity of them. I don't think he does, so I worry a little bit that we're leading people down a rabbit hole without giving them any guidance. So hopefully I can offer some guidance. It might just sound like my fucking opinion, mightn't it? It might just sound like my opinion. If that's how it sounds to you, then you tell me. We can discuss these things. Hopefully it's interesting to all sides of the spectrum today. Let's start. Let's go. And it won't be the first. This will be the first of like many episodes, and I won't do them all in sync. Tomorrow it might be something different. But this is something that we're going to bring up and keep coming back to. Let's go.
Crazy Head. And the description reads, mainstream conspiracies and unsolved mysteries. Most of this stuff is well documented and known to a good portion of the Western citizens. A lot of common theories may be grouped in broader terms or may not even appear on the chart at all considering their meaning and popularity. Also, quick disclaimer on this first here, this doesn't really apply to the others, but some of these are so well known or you've heard so many times I'm not even going to cover them.
Just 1 second, I want to just do a quick sound check on that. Ah, go on.
Crazy head, and the description reads, mainstream conspiracies and unsolved mysteries.
That sound alright to you, yeah? The levels sound alright? I'm not too loud, it's not too quiet sort of thing? Hopefully? Okay.
Like fake news, or Bigfoot, or UFOs, like, we all get it.
See, I get this impression from him that we all get it. Fake news, Bigfoot, we all get it. So I get that he's not going to cover them in depth, but maybe we should rely on them a little bit, even if we all get it.
I don't need to go into detail about them. But without further ado, let's get into this, and thank you for watching. First up, we have Big Pharma. Most of you know about this. It's pretty much just a huge encompassing theory that pharmaceutical companies suppress vaccines and cures that are made in order to make money off of treatment. Next, we have...
Okay, Big Pharma, the first one. So I totally agree that big companies are involved. I don't know if they suppress cures. What I was led to believe about Big Pharma, or understood about Big Pharma, is that you have these like almost monopolies. It's a form of capitalism where you've got big companies and they have an interest in selling their products. So is it in their interest that people get better? No, it's in their interest that they're poorly and they keep buying their tablets or what have you. So there's a conflict of interest there, and that's one of the problems with capitalism. So that's fine, you know, we know about that. And what we need to do to fix that is we need to take the responsibility for healthcare out of the hands of private companies, so that that capitalist dynamic doesn't distort the way they help people get better. And in the UK, we've got a sort of system like that, the National Health Service, but we've got a problem, and this is the big problem in today's politics, and I like raising today's politics a lot. I haven't done a big episode on it yet. I was going to do Richie Sunak today. I might give a little word on Richie Sunak a bit later. Yeah, in fact, I'll do it now. Why not? It's not a big thing, but I just want to show you this. Richie Sunak and the BBC News. We've got problems in our economy. There's going to be a huge recession. We all know that, and it's partly because of the war in Ukraine, but it's also partly because of where's the economics world business? Is it in business? It's partly because of the way the government run the country as well. So Richie Sunak here is pressured to act on living costs, and what he's done is cut business tax. Yesterday he cut business tax. He was at the annual business dinner for the businesses or whatever. Said the next few months will be tough, but where we can act, we will. The plans will involve cutting costs for families, apparently. Where's the bit about business? I read this yesterday and they've changed the article. It's a different article now. Where's the business? It looks better for the government, this does now, but it's not what was said yesterday. He cut business tax. So I'm just going to have to find this for you. I mean, this plays into Big Pharma in a way, doesn't it? Because this is all about how it works. BBC News, Richie Sunak, business tax. It's weird, isn't it? Yesterday I read this article where he said he's cutting business tax, but right now I can't find it. It's almost as if it's been sanitized overnight. 5 hours ago, 7 hours ago. Like, because now they're saying, oh, he's got all these plans and he's going to make things better for your families. But actually what he did yesterday was cut business tax. And it's completely counterintuitive, because we need the business taxes more because all the problems in the economy. And then the other thing that they did is, why isn't it saying where he's cut the business tax? It's fucked up. The other thing they've done recently is they've cut the tax, or they cut the tax again. Richie Sunak cut the tax on the petrol duty. So they cut 5p off the price of petrol, but they didn't cut it off the price of petrol. They cut 5p off the price of the amount of tax they take from the businesses that sell petrol, and the businesses that sell the petrol didn't pass that on to the consumer. So now the businesses that sell petrol have had a 5% bonus, and we're still in the shit. So Richie Sunak's been cutting tax to business and effectively cutting tax to business and claiming that he's going to help us out with our living costs whilst not doing anything to help us out with our living costs. So that's all very similar to Big Pharma. They talk a load of shit and then they rip you off. And, it doesn't make sense to me. So going back to this conspiracy theory, it's absolutely known that when you have a combination of business interests and monopolies, like healthcare doesn't work like other economics. It's not a simple case of supply and demand. So, and nor should it be. Nor should it be. So Big Pharma isn't really a conspiracy theory. It's just a known factor. Like, just in the same way as we know Richie Sunak is ripping us off. If you know about economics, you know about Keynesian theory and monetary policy, you'll know that in the monetary policy of Keynes, you would have to, with inflation, you'd have to affect interest rates to do something about inflation. But of course, inflation without outside pressures, like global factors on the economy, it can't be fixed with Keynesian monetary policy. So meddling with monetary policy is only making people who own a load of shares or are an investment banker or Richie Sunak's wife, it's only making them rich. And if you've got insider knowledge about what's about to be done, next week we're going to do this with the shares, or next week we're going to do that with the policy, you can make a lot more money. So these people get themselves into the position in politics so that they can be in a position to affect these things. And then they essentially make themselves loads of money, and then they're out in 5 to 7 years. They're gone in 10 years. So Richie Sunak is basically just ripping us all off. It's known. It's not a conspiracy as such. It's just known facts. Same with Big Pharma. So I find Big Pharma to be... I wish you'd do a live on Hugo Talks. I'll have a look. Put it with these sort of comments. No clue moo. Nice to have you here. No clue moo. Pop it in the actual comments, not just in the chat, because then it's like recorded for me, and I'll look through those comments later and copy and paste every name and everything that I should be putting on my list. So I won't remember it if it's just in chat like this, but in the comments I will. So thanks for the suggestion. I'll look into it. Government cuts business tax to encourage business growth. Yeah, business is great, isn't it? With the money saved, we relocate to a cheaper company. Exactly, the businesses. I was thinking about this last night because I did do a degree in economics. Hello, Squirrel Sniper. Nice to have you here. I did do a degree in economics, and I didn't finish the degree because I hated some of the concepts so much. I felt like I was being taught to be a real chuffer. I thought, like, some of the things they were teaching me, I thought, I can't believe you just said this in this classroom. Like, people are going to take that on board and then go out and do that in their lives, and it's wrong. You shouldn't behave like that. So anyway, like, the problem with this economics is that businesses are they're like entities, they're like little cancers that are just going to do everything for themselves and grow as much. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. And these cancers cause a competition between cancers, and that keeps prices down. It doesn't work like that in practice. In the free market, there's no space and provision for disabled people, because if you can't work a job and you can't provide, some sort of value, then you're useless to the free market. So if you're particularly disabled in like, maybe, certain disabilities preclude you from certain jobs, so then that's it, you're fucked, you're just useless. We don't need to, and there's no need to pay for those people. We don't need to give people benefits in a free market, because it's a free market. Either you supply and demand it and you get along, or you just fuck off. So we don't actually live in a free market. We have a government that is heavily involved in the regulation of the free market. You wouldn't have street lights, because in a free market you have street lights if you pay for them. So when I walk down the street and I'm not paying for these lights, who's paying for them? The people that are on the street. Like, in my road, we'd have to put our money together and put up some street lights, and they'd probably end up having some sort of system of toll or automatic on-off system. Put 50p in the meter if you want to use the street lights today. I'm not paying for your street lights. I'm not putting my money into tax and then paying for everyone's street lights. Christ, this is a free market. So you wouldn't have that provision for people in society. So we do have that. We do have that, and it works much better than a free market. So Big Pharma is just proof of that exact system. It's not a big conspiracy, I guess. I think it's obvious what's happening, and the way we stop it is we regulate. Pure and simple. In America, it's much harder because they're based on these principles of economic freedom, and regulation is seen as a very negative thing. A very negative thing. That's why Donald Trump, was so popular. Leave the government to it. Leave us to it. Leave us to it and our freedoms. But Big Pharma's no good for me. No good for me at all. So I'm not really interested in helping them. And I'm not really interested in any governance or any politician that won't directly denounce it. If you're not up there, if you're Boris Johnson and you're you know, Richie Sunak, and when questioned about these sort of things, because it bleeds into our politics in the UK. I can't talk about America too much because I don't live it, but I live the UK. And when they're questioned about, you know, nationalising the NHS or privatising parts of the NHS, you know, when they're questioned about these things, about where we supply our drugs and what goes on, then they don't stand up and say, Big Pharma is a massive worry. It's going on out there and we don't want it anywhere near our system. You know, we've got to be careful to guard against this. This is what it is. This is why you should understand it. And this is how it works. They don't do that, do they? So I don't really trust them.
Suppress vaccines and cures that are made in order to make money off of treatment. Next we have Atlantis. Original records of Atlantis date back to Greek times, I believe, between Sparta and Athens, of a continent located somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. And since they couldn't have got to North America, that would require there to be something in between that has since disappeared or sank. Next up,
okay, Atlantis. So one by one, I'm going to have to try and take these on. You worked at a trade show for the Lightning Expo in Chicago. Enlightening. Did you do a pun there deliberately? Enlightening. It's a good pun. So Atlantis, right? Atlantis. Now, I thought Atlantis, to be honest, I thought Atlantis was, like, because it's Greek, I thought it was like myth, because there's a lot of Greek myths, aren't there? Atlantis. My new keyboard, I can't even type words on it. My sister bought me this. Atlantis. It's supposed to be like the world's fastest gamer keyboard or something. I don't necessarily need the world's fastest gamer keyboard, but I can't even type fucking words on it. Atlantis. Ugh, right. Wikipedia. Probably not allowed to use Wikipedia, but what can you do? In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's possible, isn't it? It's possible. Ancient Atlantis. I recognise it as a sort of ancient myth about this city that sank. But of course, it's quite possible that over time, land masses rise and fall. We did have a place called Doggerland, didn't we? I don't know if Doggerland will come up, but let's have a quick look at Doggerland. Because Doggerland was real. I've moved the microphone today, so I'm going to keep tapping my hand on the different things, so give me a break. Doggerland was real. Doggerland was a place sort of between Britain. See how Britain there is still attached in this picture? Chuff off, I've clicked the wrong thing. Open link in... Where's open link in a new window? There you go. Not a new window, no, a new tab. God, open link in a new tab. Right, yeah, I'm using Windows for the first... No, that's not what I want. I just want the image in a new tab. Open image in a new tab. Right, artist's impression, of course. But they used to be connected, the old Great Britain and the old mainland Europe. They used to be connected, like way back. And so as they became disconnected, that central section became a bit of an island and eventually sank into the sea, rising sea levels, changing archipelago. You know, it's geography. So yeah, Doggerland connected us to Europe. Uncontrolled historian agrees with that. And they also think Atlantis is myth. Okay. Okay, so we're all happy with that. We're all happy with that. I've lost my Windows. There he goes. So Atlantis, we're going to say, possible, really existed. Not really a big worry or anything, is it? It's just like some land used to maybe exist and some land maybe didn't. The Greeks did a load of myths. They had minotaurs and all sorts. So, you know, they told a lot of stories, and we've got some interesting stories these days. But it doesn't really matter, does it? Doesn't matter if it did or didn't exist, does it? I don't think. Like, not really.
Require there to be something in between that has since disappeared or sank. Next up, we have one of the first ones that I...
Nostradamus, I'm going to debunk straight away because I know all about Nostradamus. Yes, Nostradamus wrote a book, and yes, there were some predictions in the book that I suppose they came true. But it's a bit like going to the bookies and betting on every single horse in every single race and then saying you won every race. Well done, aren't you good? Because what Nostradamus also did was made hundreds and hundreds of predictions in the same book that were just nonsense and just didn't come true. And so if you pick and choose which parts you want to use as evidence, you can create whatever case you want. So Nostradamus doesn't make any sense. Okay, yeah, some things came true, but I could sit here now for like 10 hours saying, in the future, China will be the world's superpower, only country that dominates everything. In the future, China will fall to pieces, turn to recession, and become nothing. In the future, China will shrink to a tiny island. In the future, China will fire themselves out into the sky and have an island in the sky. In the future, China, like, you could just do that for long enough, and eventually you would say the truth about the future. So well done, Nostradamus.
I didn't know about until getting into this, and that is Nostradamus. Nostradamus was an old philosopher who came up with several of the constellations and discovering the night sky, and it is believed that several of his predictions came true later, such as World War II and the Great London Fire. However, from doing my own research, this is kind of BS because, like, for example, the London Fire, he said that there would be bad things happening in London.
Oh yeah, there's that as well. There's the vagueness of the predictions and the way that you can twist them to fit whatever happens in the future as well.
And then a bad thing happened in London, so yeah.
So he didn't go too deep on that, which this is, I mean, I don't diss. He's done a 9-hour set, 9 hours of this stuff, so I don't diss him for this, but I do think that it's a little bit, I hope that as we go through, he's going to give us enough information to make things clear, because I worry that someone's interested in conspiracy theories, as people are. They watch a video like this, The Theory Iceberg, and when you get sort of 7 hours in, you start to get a bit, I think you might get a bit lost in it, and I think what we need is some reasonable counter-argument. You're presenting the theories, not as fact, but you're presenting the theories. So if you've got any reasonable counter-argument, present it as well to enable people to make good decisions, not to lead them down a bad rabbit hole. But of course, he did give a bit of counter-argument, so I'm not completely dissing him, and he's doing 9 hours of the stuff. So it's hard to, we're going to take a lot longer on each episode, aren't we?
Bad things happening in London, and then a bad thing happened in London, so yeah. The Mandela Effect. Most of you are probably familiar with this, but it essentially says that there are parallel universes that cross over with each other.
Okay, parallel universes. I don't think they cross over with each other. That wouldn't make sense, because if there were parallel universes, okay, you've got to take things step by step. The whole point of parallel universes, the whole concept of parallel universes is decision trees. So does it go this way or that way? JR is shot in this and he's not shot in that, and we move off in these two different directions. If later they were to cross, or if at some point they were to cross, those decision trees would not, would invalidate the crossing, wouldn't they? You can't also have a future where both things happened in the past. So you either got one or the other, and okay, they're going to say, oh, but they crossed and they changed our history, whatever. Like, either the decisions were made and we separated and have separate universes, or if you want to put them back together when they cross, they're not two separate universes either. They're one universe with two universes within. I think it's like breaking the Matrix. I don't think it's possible. I think it's like crossing the streams in Ghostbusters. Even if you want to get down that rabbit hole, I think it just feels a bit, I haven't seen Sliding Doors, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I think it feels a bit inconsistent would be the right word, because you would have, let's look at it like this. You'd have two different worlds, right? One where I wear my hat, one where I don't. And then they cross over in the future, and like, well, am I wearing my hat or not now? Because I'm both wearing my hat and not at the same time as these worlds collide, yeah? And then going on into the future, I'd be able to look back into the past in both worlds to a point where I both did and didn't wear my hat. So that doesn't make any sense. And then you've got to say, okay, there's that future that I'm living in twice, one where I do wear a hat, one where I don't, and in both cases I look back into the past and I'm doing the opposite because they've crossed. And at the same time, because of parallel worlds theory, we need a separate parallel world where none of that shit happens and I just wear the hat, and another one where none of that shit happens and I don't wear the hat. Because decision trees, the decision to cross over means there's another world where they didn't cross over. So now we've got 4 streams, two duplicates, but because one set of duplicates crosses, like each crossing is another decision tree. So it overcomplicates the decision tree to the point where it like breaks the matrix. I think it's a bit like how in time travel you can't kill your own granddad, because it's like a paradox. So I think the concept of the Mandela Effect being about that crossing is paradoxical, therefore not sensical, silly. I think what's much more sensible to think is, and to understand, is that we remember things a bit funny. And if you're shown cues, then you might, I don't even see what's, for a long time when I saw those two different Looney Tunes things, I didn't recognise there was something wrong with the image. I thought they were both the same image, because it's like a spot the difference. It's so slight. So, and then I thought, which one is right? What do I remember? I remember tunes, Tunes, as a kid. I don't remember tunes, because I never thought of the word cartoons being shortened to be tunes. So I remember it actually being tunes, because I remember being a kid and thinking, are these songs that we're watching Looney Tunes, or are they cartoons? Why is the word tunes in there as a song? So I actually remember some Mandela effects. Like, I remembered that Mandela, I didn't think of him, he was dead. Like, so when people say, oh, look, there's these, everyone, I thought, why are you remembering it funny? What's wrong with your brain? Why are you remembering it funny? I've got a bit of one of those brains where I remember things, like, not photographically, but like I was saying the other day about quiz teams. So, who knows where the kidneys are located without looking up. So I think my kidneys are probably, like, I think I've got a bit of a misinterpretation of my kidneys. I think they're around about here. I think my liver's here on this side, and I think my kidneys are sort of in there and slightly up and under my rib cage on my right hand side. I don't know for a fact, because even though this is what I'll show you though about those kidneys to make sense of this. Human torso anatomy. This won't be exactly what it looks like in your body. Like, not exactly. I want a picture like this. Like, some of these things will be drawn a bit slightly differently. I mean, maybe they'll be exact and they'll look confusing to you, but maybe on some other pictures they'll be drawn a bit differently, so you can sort of get a gist of where they are. It's a bit like maps and old maps and, interpretations. You're seeing through things here, so you need to see through to other bits. Where is the kidney here? Where is my kidney? I mean, they are supposed to be quite accurate, aren't they? They are supposed to be pretty accurate, but I think I don't think that is an accurate representation of what it looks like inside you, because it's all moving and it's all squidgy. And I think, like, you'd be surprised if you could actually see a real internal structure of you, working away. You'd be surprised. Look, there they are. They're much deeper in than I thought. There you go. Much deeper in, I suppose. A bit more deep. Maybe I'm a bit wrong. But my perception of my internal structure can be a bit off, can't it? It doesn't mean that. I don't know if it means anything too heavy. I think it's just like a sort of, what I would describe the Mandela effect is that we all have similar brains, because we're humans. Like, we all, people think we all see colour differently. We might do, but we all see colour because our cones and the rods and the wavelengths. So we all see colour with the same mechanical system. So we've all got, like, lungs, essentially, haven't we? Our lungs might be different. We've all got lungs. So I think our brains work in a similar way to each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, lungs work my lungs work in the same way as your lungs work. So I think we all get confused in the same ways. Another way to look at this would be optical illusions. So we all see optical illusions. They're not really actual things, are they? But we all see them. Like, our brains all work in the same patterns. So I think Mandela effect is a lot like optical illusions. So yeah, I think that's what Mandela effect is. I think it's that we all make similar mistakes, and that when someone suggests a mistake to you, because we're suggestible as well, it's another, what have I done now with these windows? No. I had the window exactly the right size for streaming, Chuff, and I pressed one little button, Windows just resized it. Chuffer. Right. Where am I? This one. So I think we all make similar mistakes, and I didn't make that Looney Tunes mistake. When someone showed it to me, I thought it was silly. Mandela effect. And I knew about Nelson Mandela. I followed his story while he was in jail as I was growing up. He was in jail while I was growing up, and then he was released. So I thought, Jesus, like, how can people think he's dead? Like, I actually didn't make these mistakes. Pikachu, I've got no idea. I never saw Pikachu when I was a kid growing up, you know what I mean? And like, this one makes me laugh with the Coca-Cola, because, fuck off. I've got to get used to clicking things properly. Open image in a new tab. Because Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola, it doesn't look different to me. I can't see the difference. I don't know what you're supposed to be showing me here. What's different? Oh, there's a little dot in the middle. Is there? It was there. I mean, it's a sort of minor detail that you don't actually even remember. So why does it? And also, here's another one. If this is part of a conspiracy, yeah. If it's part of a conspiracy, there's two things I'd like to point out about it. Number one is that it doesn't matter whether in the past Fruit of the Loom did or didn't have a basket to the Illuminati or to those people. Do you know what I mean? If there's going to be some crazy group of people running the world, they don't care whether it had a basket or not, but they'd make it consistent. They wouldn't fuck up on that because it wouldn't be. But if it's two parallel universes crossing and intertwining and coming back, again, they would still have a basket. There isn't a I always remember it with the basket, so maybe it has the basket. I can't remember which one it is now that you pointed out to me. Maybe it doesn't. But what I'm saying is that it wouldn't matter to, like, they wouldn't want to go back in time and change history to change that. It would be stupid, and it would stay consistent if they were changing bigger things. So I don't know. The only thing I do think about parallel universes, and I'm not sure I believe in them, but if you do believe in them, here's something to think about, right? I could have sworn they used to be in the lower back, a bit exposed and vulnerable, illegal hitting box, and now they're tucked up in the rib cage. I took anatomy. I bet they're slightly different for all people, right? I bet they're slightly different for all people. But yeah, I think the boxing analogy is really important. Boxers are not known for being great biologists, are they? Boxing commentators are not known for being excellent autonomic. Like, they're not excellent. They're boxers. They're into fighting. So they're not the smartest people in the world. And if you hit someone there, what will happen is that the inertia impact, it's a bit like a car crash. It might not be that the force of where it hits you does the damage, but the way your body receives that force and it ripples through. There's not much between. If you think about under that rib cage there, all there is flesh, like fat, and then the kidneys. Like, there's not much there between it, so the impact force still is delivered to the kidney, but it doesn't necessarily mean, because boxers used to think they were punching the kidneys like direct. In fact, it doesn't even make sense for your kidneys to be that close to the outside of your body, does it? They're internal organs and they need to be protected. So we can donate a kidney and live, not a vital organ. Yeah, although your body doesn't know which one. Is like, they're all your organs to your body. All your organs are worth protecting, and they're all vital. Like, you don't have to live with. You can take one of your eyes out, and you can still see. But if you start to poke at your eye, your body's not going to like it. Your teeth aren't even vital, but if you pull one out, you will fucking know about it. So kidneys are up there, protected, and they always have been. But we've thought of them as being a bit more vulnerable. I suppose because if you get punched in that area, it feels like they're fucking down there and vulnerable, but they're not really. And if you were a surgeon, you'd be like, why do people think their kidneys are on down out there? That's silly. I've seen so many kidneys. I don't even think that. But because we're doing pictures and showing you, and they're over here, and on the more simplified pictures when you're a kid, especially the more simplified pictures, they're over here. You know, it becomes a thing that you sort of take for granted. But because we didn't all study biology and to a high level, do dissections, we haven't learned the truth. Not the we've learned generalities, but we haven't learned the deep knowledge. I suppose it's a bit like a computer as well. I know there's a processor in there and a motherboard and a graphics card, and I can see the graphics card, but do you know where the CPU is if I opened up your laptop? Because if I opened up a laptop, I wouldn't know which one the CPU is. I definitely know there's a CPU. It's a big one, main one. I don't know. I'm not a computer scientist. So that's why I think that. And why I think this is a strange conspiracy to adhere to is, like I said, if it was parallel worlds, then I don't think it would make sense. I think it'd be a bit of a paradox. And because we've got the evidence of both in our world, or one and the other. We've got the evidence of both in that people remember one, but we have the other. So the worlds have crossed, but in some way they've become cross-pollinated or some shit, which doesn't make sense because they're separate places. And like decision trees don't lead to cross-pollination, and like I explained earlier about the decision tree paradox, I don't think it makes sense. I think it's much more likely that people just didn't pay that much attention to what the fucking picture was, and they all remembered the same mistake because we've all got similar brains. You know, we all see the same optical illusion. I think that's much more likely.
That we're not aware of. For example, those who remember the Bernstein Bears from their childhood
I've never heard of the Bernstein Bears.
may be surprised to know that it's actually the Bernstein Bears, and that several...
But if everyone called it the Bernstein Bears by mistake, because you hear these things like Trivial Pursuits, don't you? Trivial Pursuits will be a Mandela Effect in 40 years. If they stop making Trivial Pursuit, the game, because it's Trivial Pursuit, it doesn't have an S on it. Trivial Pursuit. It doesn't have an S on it, does it? But a lot of people think it does. So if they stop making this game, in 50 years' time, people will say, do you remember Trivial Pursuits? And they'll all go, yeah, Trivial Pursuit. You've heard them, haven't you? You've heard them saying Trivial Pursuits, haven't you? You waste your lives on Trivial Pursuits. It's not a game. A general knowledge could be a soldier, a private knowledge. I'll come to show you a Sufi who moved me to change up my act. I've been fasting forward and I won't look back. You got killers you can't catch like Jack the Ripper. Killers you can catch and give back like Corona. Well, Billy Elliot can be a ballerina and millions of kids get killed in Syria. I'm looking at the man in the mirror, gonna make a change. Yeah, so... you know, everyone remembers Trivial Pursuits, or idiots at parties. You'll hear somebody say Trivial Pursuits, won't you? Trivial Pursuits versus Trivial Pursuit. What did you call the remote control in your house? Oh, we called it a duffer. I called it the buttons. I called it no, it's a remote control. But in years to come, we won't know where is. Surely there's a web page that notifies us that some people call it Trivial Pursuits, and they're wrong. You know, those sort of things. Tesco's, there you go. You know, there's another one. Like, there's all sorts of things that people slip into using the wrong words because they're just like that. Like, that's what people are like. There's loads of things like that that people give the wrong name to, that is a brand name or a listed thing, and they just still can't get it into their head that, you know, that's the chuffing name. And it becomes colloquial language, and then everyone says it. And if you stopped selling Trivial Pursuit now, and no one saw that logo for 20 years, 30 years, you'd ask them, was it Trivial Pursuit or Trivial Pursuits? And there'd be some people that would swear blind it was Trivial Pursuits, because even today they swear blind it's Trivial Pursuits. That's the best example I can give of the Mandela Effect. That's it in evidence, in proof. And if you've got something like that that you can suggest in chat or in the comments, please suggest it, because I know there's loads more than that. I know there's loads, like H and H is another brilliant one. You've seen this letter, haven't you? You've seen the letter H. And I'm not trying to offend you here if you say it differently, right? But you've seen the letter H. You know that letter. Now, some people say H. They say H in the mistaken belief that you have to use the letter at the start of the word. H. It's not H like that. It's H with an A. H. H. Okay? It's not H. It's H. Okay? This is simply a matter of fact. How to speak. Okay? H is wrong. H is correct. When you say L, when you say the letter L, you don't go lel, do you? You don't say lel, because you should have a L at the start of the word for the letter. No, you say L. It begins with an E. L. It's E-L-L-E. L, isn't it? That's the letter L. Right? So, in the same way, A-I-T-C-H is H. Now, some people didn't get this taught to them properly. Don't know who that is. H, probably. H from Steps. He's a rapper, and he's decided to call himself H. Doesn't he remember H from Steps? No, he's obviously too young. So, H is the word. Is the word. It's how to say it. Some people get that wrong. I don't want to see H. I want to see the letter H. H. See, I did it wrong then. H is the letter. People will get that wrong, left, right, and centre. And what happened to me at school was I had this brilliant teacher called Mrs. Ord. She was a brilliant teacher, Mrs. Ord. She died of cancer when I was in her class, and it made this huge impression on me because she wrote this letter. I don't know how many pupils she wrote letters for and to, but she wrote a letter to me, my parents, about me, about the qualities that I had. And it's making me really emotional now. It's going to make me cry. And this was just way back when this is the first time I remember crying over somebody dying when I was a kid. She wrote this letter and then she was gone. And then she was in hospital. We were told she had the cancer. And I remember this one day, because we did a Church of England school. We spent the morning singing, singing religious, what they call them, hymns, singing hymns, recording them on tape so that they could take it to the hospital and they could play it to her as like a little present thing. And later that day we found out she died. So I remember thinking, God, she didn't even hear us doing that singing. We spent all morning singing for her and she didn't even get to hear it. And when I got home I took out this letter, and she'd written, it's making me, I'm going to cry. She'd written about these qualities that I had. I mean, I was only like 10, 9, about these qualities I had. And you know, she was an important influence on me. She was also a stickler for some of these things. She was a massive stickler for some of these things, like the letter H. So when she heard someone in class say H, we were about to go to assembly in the morning. She stopped us, said, no, kids, everyone back, line up. Right, and she got a piece of paper and wrote the letter. Say this letter, H, you can go. H, you can go. H, right, no, everybody back. Say this letter, H. And she did it until, because even some of the kids were arguing about it. Some of the were arguing about it. It's H, okay? You can look it up. You can deal with it in your own time. If you're a sort of person that says H, don't get angry at me. I didn't get angry at Mrs. Ord. She educated me. I'm pleased she educated me, because now I don't have to go around sounding like an ignoramus by saying H all the time. But it's H, okay? So she taught it to us. She drummed it into us. I never forgot that lesson. But because not everyone has that education, and I'm not saying, oh, you're not educated. I'm saying not everyone had that lesson. Lessons come differently. Like, that happened. She picked up on it. She drummed it in as a lesson. It doesn't happen to everyone. So not everyone has that same memory as me. So they might say H or H. You know, in 20 years' time, in 100 years' time, it's Mandela Effect. Was it H or H? No one remembers. No, we remember it's H. Yeah? No, I remember Nelson Mandela was alive. No, I remember the guy from Monopoly didn't have a monocle. Some people just put things together in their brain because it seems like it should fit. And when you ask them about it later and say, did he or didn't have a monocle, then, I'm reading this off this, did he or didn't he have a monocle, then it seems like he should, because he's got a top hat and he's got a, I believe the Mr. Peanut Man had a monocle. Peanut Man, I mean, what was he called? He's American. Yeah, he had a monocle. That's where you're getting confused. That's where you're getting confused, is the Peanut Man had a monocle, but the Monopoly Man didn't. But you associate monocles with some sort of... So it's where two things can be confused, isn't it? It's where two things can be confused. Oh, hang on, oh, that's the Mandela. I was going to say, he did have a monocle. No, he doesn't have a monocle. I've never remembered him with a monocle. I remember the Peanut Man with a monocle. That's where people get confused. And it's an easy confusion, because they're cartoon characters that have top hats, canes, all things the same, apart from the monocle. So it's an easy confusion. And I think the confusion will be different in different cultures, who more or less recognise or don't recognise the Peanut Man or the wearing of monocles. It's just a human fallacy, in the same way as some people say H. So I'm not going to adhere to the manner. I don't think it's even an effect. I think it's just something silly that people on the internet have invented. And if they show you the two things side by side, it will confuse you, because none of us exactly remember everything from childhood. But I know that's Looney Tunes. I remember thinking about it as a child. So it doesn't mean Mandela Effect, because in my brain, in my world, I absolutely don't have this effect. It doesn't. I've not got any confusion with these things. I don't see it. I don't see it. But so I do see that other people do, and I see why. So there we go.
Discrepancies like that exist. Like the Monopoly Man has no monocle, and yeah.
No, this is the Mandela Effect that's promoted Monopoly. Yeah, so maybe there's other forms of Mandela Effect that I'm missing out here then. But, and I'm sorry about Mr. Walsh and committing suicide. It is so tough when you've got somebody that is making a positive impression on your life and suddenly they are not there. That's why that very reason is why we should be so generous with our time to children who have divorce or a parent die or something like that. We need to be extra generous with our time with children who are feeling abandonment, maybe. is a way to say it. It's hard in today's society with, oh, you're a pedo, and that guy's a pedo, this guy's a pedo, and all that. But just, you know, when I don't go out of my way to go and sort of interact with the kids to give, but if a kid asks you something or shows that they're upset, whatever, just spend more time, you know, take more time, because we all know what it feels like to feel like there's someone missing. Yeah. You're an anti-Mandela, just pointing out the Stewart. Okay, yeah, we go. Yeah. So what's interesting as well is that between us, even though we've got, you know, maybe some Tartarian, is it offensive if I call you Tartarians? I don't know, you know, whatever. We've got some different ideas in here from start point. We've got start point, you know, we've got different ideas, but we can all agree on some of these not holding water, not being valid. So if that's the case with some of them, I wonder about some of them. Because some of them are going to come up, and I'm not going to know enough stuff to be able to give you an accurate appraisal. I'll have to do some learning. And when I try and do learning, we know that there's going to be. We looked at it on Mental Health Monday with this in mind, that people they know. We can all accept this. If you didn't hear me say this on Mental Health Monday, I'll say it now. If I go looking for information about the Mandela Effect, there's some people on the internet, not on Google, not even on Google. If I go looking on DuckDuckGo, or I like Ecosia, you know, not on Google, but if I go looking for the Mandela Effect on DuckDuckGo, there are some people out there that just want to rip people off, and they know that the people are using DuckDuckGo to look up the conspiracy theories because they need a more reputable source of information that's not censoring things. So the bad people can go to DuckDuckGo and put up all their stuff on that, or wherever, you know, make it visible on the internet for DuckDuckGo, because they know that's where people are looking, and they know those people are confused. So even if the conspiracy theory is true, there will still be people trying to confuse you and waylay you for their own benefit, to get a bit of money out of you, or for whatever. You know, there's still bad actors in that space. So maybe bad actors are creating the Mandela Effect conspiracy theories, and it's just a load of rubbish. And maybe when I've come across a conspiracy I don't know about, it's hard for me to say, oh, this is absolutely people trying to show me the light. On, you know, some good people in my chat here trying to show me the light. When I find it on DuckDuckGo, it might be a bad actor trying to confuse me, and they might look very similar. So, yeah, Joe says she's not a Mandela, she's forgotten things sometimes. I think we can all accept, because we hopefully notice it in our, like, I don't remember what brand of Chuff margarine I've got in my fridge. I know it's vegan because I don't buy the cow juice stuff. I buy but I don't know what brand it is. I can't remember if it's like Pure and Vital, or, you know, Super Light, or Vitalite's not made anymore, is it? But you know, you get something from Aldi and you can't remember what it's called, but you know what it is. It's in my chuffing fridge. How can I not tell you what my margarine is made from? You know, because it's just, you know, remember all these things all the time, do you? You know, I'm not going to read out what you've just written there. Oh no, I will. What the fuck? I mean, well, it can be said. Your elementary school music teacher was a pedo, motherfucker. You know, that's awful. So it can work the other way as well, can't it? Like that. That's even worse though, because they don't just let people down, but they hurt them as well, which is awful. And obviously, people who die haven't let anyone down. So yeah, really sorry about that. That's a bit of a problem in our society, isn't it? Don't courts use the false memory as a case? Yeah, exactly. Courts prove, and this is where I think Mandela effects come from. It's because people have learned you can create a false memory. So then they've said, right, if you can create false memories, what about trying to create a false memory? I'll change one of the letters in Looney Tunes, and I'll create a false memory and see if it works. It works. Let's go with this. You know, I think people have actually been informed by the science when they've tried to confuse people. That's the best way. If you want to confuse people and run a con trick, because a lot of the time, remember, I'm saying that the Martin Leakkeys of this world, whoever else, they're in it to sort of confuse and con people so they can get some views or sell them. I wouldn't mind it if Martin Leakke was doing Words with Friends like we did yesterday. I wouldn't mind it if Martin Leakke was doing a charity stream to help some poor kids. But what he's actually doing, he's confusing middle-aged people in the main, because they're easier to confuse, just like the Nigerian print scammers. And he's not ripping them off for their bank account details, but he is asking them essentially for some money for a book. He's asking them for their time, which is valuable time, for some ideas. and it benefits him financially. You know, we've all got a bit of a job on our hands to try and support ourselves, but there are ethical ways to do it, and there are not ethical ways to do it. And not giving a fuck about people and just using them is not ethical. So that's exploitation. So this is a form of exploitation, I think, the Mandela Effect. It's almost like a stupidity filter, that if you fall for it, if you go down that rabbit, it's like an open door to the rabbit hole. Here's something you recognise and is interesting and has got the cartoons and, you know what I mean? It's attractive to the eye. And then you're confused and then you're down the rabbit hole. It's almost like a bit of bait on a hook, isn't it? The Mandela Effect. And that's why I think it might actually be informed by people who understand the science of the false memories. Yeah, I'll go with that. Come on, Wendigoon.
This is a cool one. It's very deep. It goes on for itself. So if you're interested, check it out. Next is Malaysian.
And that's a bit of a shame for me that he just says, if you're interested, check it out. Like, it's cool. It's not cool. Wendigoon. He gets all... Now, I'm being very careful here because I know that he's got millions of viewers and everyone thinks he's cool. Yeah, people don't judge people on these... Like, I'm finding it hard to say this because I shouldn't be that judgmental, and I do think he's a kind of laid-back, cool guy. But actually, I think it's not cool to introduce conspiracy theories to the mass market in the millions of views, to put... Now he knows they're popular, he's put them all together in one big video and not offered any counter conversation. Said it's cool and it's worth looking into. It's not worth looking into, it's not cool, it's a waste of your time, it can cause mental health problems, but it obviously benefits him that people view his videos. You know, it's this thing about this popularity on YouTube as well. Now I've said that, there are going to be people that go, oh no, Wendigoon's cool, I like him as a person, therefore what you've said is rubbish. No, what I've said is valid. It's valid, and I'm not having a go at him as a person. I just think he's not, like, he's a media producer. He said it himself at the start of this video. If you watch this video at the very start, he introduces it by saying, when I first got going on YouTube, I was naive and I made bad videos. I just used a phone. I don't worry about the media content, sorry, the media quality as much as I worry about the content and the ideas, the brain that's delivering the content. Maybe I worry about you too much. Maybe I worry about other people too much. But I see it in all forms of content, the television, the news, this, you know, gambling, whatever. Like, I see so much of it where people aren't ethically worried about their audience. They're more concerned with the popularity. And popularity and ethics don't always go hand in hand. Sometimes calling things out is not popular. So I have to walk a different line. I don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable, but I have to say it when I see it. So I didn't like what he said there about that. Right, MH370, I've got no idea what this is.
Flight 370, which disappeared somewhere over the Indian Ocean. The conspiracy states that there is a U.S. military base there, and more than likely the plane was either hijacked and flying towards it or flew too close to it, to which the U.S. military shot it down and covered up all evidence of it. Although, practically, I feel that there's a lot of moving parts in that couldn't be kept secret for so long.
So he judges that one and says he doesn't think it's valid. So the last one was valid. Is that what you think, Wendigoon? The last one was valid. No, I can't judge you on your early work because you said you were naive. So what was it? MH370. See, I've never heard this, but this is a different part of the brain now. This is the Malaysian Airlines, and it disappeared. No, I don't think it was shot down. I think it crashed through some... it does happen from time to time that planes will crash, and they found parts of it floating in the sea along its flight path as if it had been drifting. They found the evidence that it had just fallen into the sea. I don't think the Americans shot it down, but I do think that there are things that go on with American military that are kept secret, absolutely. So, you know, you're going to get funny ideas because they absolutely do some funny things behind the scenes. But that wasn't one of them, I don't think. I don't know who we're talking about, the gaslighting and... yeah, logos for brands is another good one, isn't it? They change consistently and people don't seem to notice because it's like a steady... I'll tell you what it's like, the logos and things, is it's like getting old. Like we all are. You look at yourself in the mirror and you don't see any difference. Or you look at people that you love and they're just the people you love. But then you look back at the old photos and God, haven't you changed? And when you haven't seen someone for 10 years, God, haven't they changed? But, you know, it's only because it's small changes over time you don't notice, yeah.
GMO conspiracy regards GMOs that are in several foods, from fast food and...
Again, I don't know if that's even a conspiracy. Genetically modified organisms, organics, whatever. It's absolutely being done. There are pros and cons. The pros are massive because we can get more food for our money, you know, more bang for our buck. Massive pros. People worry a little bit about genetic modification, but I would say that there's a little bit of naivety in the worry, a bit of ignorance in the worry. It's like worrying about something you don't understand. Because would you rather have something... here's a great conversation. Here's an interesting conversation to have. Where's my mid-range? And I'll tell you what, I want chat on this. So I'll go web and browsing. I'll grab chat. I will copy chat, and then I'll go to mid-range, and then I'll also paste the chat here. Boom. So... artificial flavouring or natural flavouring. Artificial ingredients or natural ingredients. Well, natural ingredients are better, aren't they? I'm a vegan, for Christ's sake. Natural ingredients are better. Aren't they? Of course they're better. Why are we even having this discussion, Scotty Hottie? Did you know? Did you know? And I don't know enough to give you the exact. But in bananas, there's a certain chemical or flavouring or something. I think it begins with an A. Let's say it begins with an A. In bananas, there's a certain flavouring or artificial sweetener or something like that. And if you want it naturally, if you want to get that naturally, you get the bananas and you sort of leave them out in the sun, and then you scrape the bits off and you process it in your, you know, you do it in a natural form. You do a natural sort of process, and you get your artificial sweetener out of it. I can't remember the exact details. I don't think it is sweetener, but this is true. Okay, I don't remember the exact details, but or you've got an alternative, or you can do it in the lab. You can go in the lab and you can do it artificially. You don't even have a banana. You just get the two chemicals and you do the chemical reaction in the lab, and you get your artificial sweetener out of it like that. In the lab, you get exactly what you make. You get 100% the chemical that you're creating. Filtered, purified, bang. You know, that's what you want. If you do it with the bananas by scraping them and leaving them in the sun and then, you know, pounding them with the pestle and mortar, you still get the same ingredient. A bit like how they used to make medicine out of herbs and stuff, you know, and there's people these days that still want to go with the natural way, you know, the natural medicine, St. John's wort or whatever. But if you pound up the St. John's wort in a thing and you make the tablets out of it, and yeah, you get them, yeah, but they've got all sorts of other ingredients in, all sorts of other, it's not as pure, it's not as well processed. You've done it naturally. But if you do it artificially in the lab and you just remove the exact chemical out of the St. John's wort and make a tablet out of it, that's how we get our medicines today. They've not got all the other shit in. They've just got the... So it might be that. It might be that. It might be that. I can't... I'm not going to say because I don't know exactly. I can't remember. But I remember learning or hearing this on a documentary once. So the concept is that artificial sweeteners, artificial products are bad. Of course they are. They're artificial. It's about language. Actually, it's actually good because you're getting the most pure thing. So you're not getting all the other crap that goes with it. You might not get the pollutants or the, you know, what have you. Think about artificially filtered water versus naturally filtered water. Well, naturally filtered, it has to go through the rocks or the whatever, you know, you get it out of the stream. It might not be that pure, but if you artificially purify it in the lab through a series of filters and, you know, with a scientific chemical process, it's going to come out fucking pure. Which one do you want to drink? The natural one with the bits of leaf and, you know, the natural one with the bits of leaf and parasite, or the artificial one which is actually pure. So artificial is actually better than natural when it comes to food products in certain contexts. Not in everything, but in certain contexts. And then farming as well, you know, organic farming. Oh, organic farming's better. I don't want pesticides on my foods. I've got an allotment. I don't want pesticides on my foods, absolutely. But I also understand that when I pick the natural ingredients that have not been organic, that have been organically farmed, there might be some slugs or some ants have eaten into this one. You know, you might find a worm in your apple. You might. That's natural. I get a bit disgusted by it. Sometimes I pull out some potatoes and I think, oh, not that one. Look, it's gone all the way in there, and but I'll cut that off. That can go in the compost. I'm not eating that. So sometimes natural's not better. Sometimes the organic potatoes come out a bit off-putting. You either get used to it and you eat them, you know, a bit of extra protein. I'm vegan, I don't want to eat the extra protein of an insect, but you either get, you know, manure is a good example as well. You know, you either get used to scraping off the bits of poo from time to time, or you start growing things indoors in a lab with lighting and you know, trays with what they use, like hydroponics, and, you know, no soil at all. no sort of in a lab. Well, that stuff's pretty fucking clean, isn't it? That stuff's not got no insects. It's not going to give you E. coli poisoning by mistake because there was a slug on it or something. You're not going to get mites from the slug mite. So do you know what I'm saying? So actually, sometimes lab stuff, not organic, is better. I don't want it covered in pesticides, no. But also, it might not be wrong to do something in a modern way. That's just a conversation that can be had. I don't have I'm not going to go in the supermarket and say, give me the artificial, please, it's better. I'm going to choose organic where I can, because other factors as well, environmental factors. But it doesn't mean that when I put two potatoes side by side, the organic one is better, tastes better, it's got much more natural taste, it's full of lovely flavour, whereas the non-organic one is horrible because it was grown in a lab. No, it might be more tasty, it might be bigger and fruitier and everything, because they put the effort in the lab to make it good. So there you go. That's just a bit of way of thinking about things. So GMO, I think, is in that ballpark. Some of it can be terrible. Some of it could be a big mistake. You don't know what you're doing. You might be releasing something into the wild that might take over. And now we don't have natural wheat anymore because it doesn't grow anywhere, because this new GMO crop took it over. Well, that's what natural wheat is. The natural stuff that we've got now isn't the stuff that we just had growing 100 years ago, 200 years ago. We selected it, we bred it, selective breeding. We didn't have genetic modification in a lab, but we had genetic modification through careful breeding. Our dogs that we have today are genetically modified. They're not genetically modified in a lab, but they're genetically modified because we kept the one that had the short snout and the shorty legs, and we bred it with the shorty one, and they're interbred to be. It's genetic selection. It's just a much more haphazard and I want to say rustic way of doing it. You know, it's a lot less, and that's the difference between the lab and the natural. In the lab, you can genetically modify just for the exact right thing. So maybe it's better to do genetic modification in a lab than just let Mother Nature take over, because Mother Nature fucks it up for us all the time. You know, if Mother Nature was in charge, I'd still have bamboo growing in my garden from where my sister planted the chuffing stuff in a planter years ago, and it grew out underneath and under the patio. We had to dig it all up. Sometimes it's best to get involved and be part of the thing. Artificial. I don't artificially farm. I mean, we do artificially farm. We don't say, I hope the grain grows this year. We plant it in straight rows. It's all artificial. So yeah, it's an interesting concept. I'm not saying we should have GMO takeover, but I am saying that we shouldn't write it off because it's not natural, when actually it can be so valuable for the future of humanity, and it doesn't actually have to have a net negative. You know, the wild grasses that used to be wild, they're still there now. We're not farming them anymore, though. We turned them into the grains that we eat today over thousands of years of selective farming. We can do that over much shorter time now. Still the same process of selective farming, of genetic modification, just done a lot more carefully and a lot more accurately in a lab. I can't do worms in the apples in my orchard. So, you know, it's just one of those things, isn't it? The nature might not be the most pleasant after all. And none of us, I would warrant, not none of us, but most of us actually go to the supermarket and choose the things that are more uniform. You know, some of us buy the wonky carrots. Some of us actually choose the wonky carrots, but overall, who would want the wonky carrots over a nice, straight, good-looking? That's what we ended up making these perfect carrots because people wanted them. That's what they wanted, supply and demand.
Markets and things such as, which are used in this conspiracy to cause food shortages and hunger in people. So essentially,
all right, that's confusing though. I didn't know that they were being used to cause shortages. I thought the whole point was the opposite. That's fucking weird and confusing. And right now we've got this problem where, because of the Ukraine crisis, breadbasket of Europe, prices are going to go up for food. Why are we not capable of saying, okay, pick another country? You know, there's a lot of them out there. Between us, we're going to throw some resources, money at it. Let's start planting now. Let's turn some of these underprivileged countries into working economies. Let's help them out with their. It doesn't just have to. It can't just be the land. You know, it can't just be that some places are good for growing and others are not. It can't be that there's only one country on earth where we can grow grain. That can't be right. It can't be just Russia and Ukraine are responsible for it all. We could, with some investment, in the same way as we think about energy investment, invest in some smaller economies and turn them into, you know, we should share the burden, spread the load. of the production of things like grain. Simple.
Actually, the whole get the customer addicted idea. Orbs is rather vague from what I...
Orbs. Okay, so orbs is just dust particles and they're orbs, camera, dust. So there's this idea that these orbs are in some way spirits or something, but it is ridiculous because if you have used cameras over the years, then you'll be used to what we call artifacts. Not artifacts like historical artifacts, but artifacts like things that get caught on camera by mistake, because your camera has a sensor, like a big flat piece of metal, and that can get stuff on it. And then it doesn't have to just be on it, it can just be floating in the air, and like there are tiny particles you can't see floating in the air, but believe me, they're all around you right now. If I just scratch my face like that or that, they'll come off my skin and start floating around, and you can't see them. They could be anywhere. They could be in between your camera lens and your camera body, between that and the sensor, or between the camera lens and whatever you're photographing, and it will get picked up as an orb. Because, and the reason we really are pretty certain that this is camera artifacts is because of the fact that they're circular and the lenses, you know, because when you bokeh out lights with focus on camera, you create these orbs. Look, that is open image in a new tab. This image is tiny. It's clearly, you know, deliberately creating those orbs with the sunlight. If you shoot into the sun, you will get those orbs, refractions of light, artifacts as part of the fact that you've got a round lens on your camera. So it's not like I've proved it myself. Actually, I've done a YouTube channel, battery exhausted. You can find it by going to Ganji Kid here, what you're watching, videos, not videos, sorry, Ganji Kid that you're watching, and at the bottom is our channels. Battery exhausted is one of my channels. Here it is. And it's hard to find stuff on Battery Exhausted because I've turned it into a big mess of loads of stuff. So what I actually have to do is make an effort to clean this channel up a bit. But if we search it, if we go on videos and we search it for dog orbs, here's a video of my dog creating some orbs when he sneezes. See him do that big sneeze there. He just did a big sneeze. I've done this on slow motion with my phone, and there was a lot more orbs when this iPhone came out with the slow motion. I think there's something to do with this iPhone and its capture technology that creates more orbs, like, for some reason. But this phone really seems to want to catch them. But there we go. There's one floated past. There's a few. I think it's something to do with the light and, you know, things floating in the air, because I was able to catch loads. There's my old Navin. See, he's not biting me there, is he? He was a good boy. And you see how the light's reflecting in his eyes? His eyes don't always look like that, but you see how the light is reflecting in his eyes? So there's something happening in this room when I'm recording him that's causing that light to reflect in his eyes like that, and the phone is really picking it up because we're in slow motion mode or something. It's something to do with those settings. See his eyes? They don't always look like that. But the orbs start to come. There was one, flew up above us. There they go, they're drifting across in front of camera now. You see them, yeah? And it's like almost if they're coming from the dog, who is scratching his back on a sofa that he lies on. So he's creating dust, and he sneezed a second ago, and there's particles in the air. It's a warm day. The sunlight. All that interaction is creating those orbs. Sorry if that music's a bit loud. All that, you know, he's rubbing on the sofa, he's kicking up the dust, he's sneezing and chuffing, he's creating the orbs. And it's an artifact. Look, his eyes are shining. That same thing that's making his eyes shine, the way the light is reflecting off his back. Like, it doesn't always look like that when you're looking in his eyes, but the camera's picking it up. So the same reason, that same, whatever it is in the camera that's picking up that reflected light, is also causing these orbs to float across the lens. Or to pick up the dust particles as orbs. Does that make sense? There's another one. He licked his mouth, so maybe it's something to do with, you know, water molecules or something. There he is. There's my navy boy, and there's the orbs. Now, you could say that was, you know, you could say that was ghosts, maybe, if you want, because you don't know what it is. But if you do know what it is, and if you can recreate it, this is an important part of science. Is people talk about science versus theories, no. But actually, you know, science is a bit of it's a poo-poo word for our conspiracy theorists, because like, it's like the church of science, the religion of science, science, and like everything that's like anything to do with that. But the scientific method, even if I don't know who Fabergé is, not Fabergé, he's not a scientist, he did the eggs, didn't he? If I don't know who Piaget is, did Piaget do science? If I don't know who Faraday is, yeah, it doesn't matter. I can still come to the same conclusions as Faraday by doing the same experiments. It's not about these people and these institutions. The method is what's important. And the method has this concept of experimentation. So here's something interesting. If you do an experiment, and in the night time with the light, if you measure the light of the moon, it'll be a certain temperature on the floor. And then if you measure under a shade, like under a a sunshade, you measure under a sunshade, it's a warmer temperature. Then you measure the moonlight again, the moonlight's colder, cold moonlight. Wow. But what they haven't done is they haven't done a control part of the scientific method, where they do the same experiment on a night with no moon. So you can say what the moon is like, what the shade is like, and then on another night you can say the same thing about the shade but no moon. So you can compare it to something, a control. So the scientific control in that experiment shows that the shade is still warmer than the exact same temperature. So moonlight is not cold nor warm. It doesn't change. That thing is the same, moon or no moon, same temperature. It's the shade that's warm, and the shade is warm because of the sunlight warming it up over time, and it's storing anyway, like, you can then do the same experiment with no shade, same place. So you do the control. What's not been done with a lot of these orb things is the control. What I just showed you there with my dog was the control. It was me creating orbs with no ghosts. Do you know what I mean? No ghosts. To show you another control, I could show you the same video of the dog with a different camera with no orbs. And that might imply that it's the camera that's doing it. Because if I take the same piece of film 3 times on 3 different cameras, you know, to do a proper experiment there, I'd have had to have 3 cameras set up all recording it, changing only one variable at a time. On that instance, the camera. You know, I could have changed the lighting setup. It's about changing one variable and controlling the others, so you can actually definitely say this is what is that's doing it. Observable, repeatable, reproducible. There you go. Yeah. So so I think whilst my it's not a proper experiment there, I was just showing you I can make some orbs, but I think if we do those experiments, orbs are explainable, and you might not believe in those explanations, but they are perfectly valid. So there they are. I've explained them.
I figured out it's referring to the orbs that are seen in photographs when taken in the sunlight.
And it's also really interesting to note that it's often involving light, because you can't photograph without light, and also it's very often in places that are still, like churches or cathedrals, where, because that was a warm day I remember and the air was quite still, where the airflow is a certain way, and where there's often places where there's often dust.
So, you know, dust, particles, things such as, but the conspiracy says that it is a paranormal or supernatural occurrence. So yeah. The New World Order, for those that aren't familiar.
Okay, New World Order, that's a huge one, isn't it? When I was 14, 15, I totally believed in this. I thought it was absolutely the New World Order are running things from America, and they're causing, you know, problems in our world to keep us confused. Now I feel less certain that there is like a shadow cabal government, because I think that people die over a period of time. People die. So even if there was one person trying to run this shit, you know, someone else would take their place, things would change. We know all our institutions evolve over time, and even if it was real, it would have to evolve over time. And some of the things that are leveled at them, that they are accused of, are very difficult for them to, like. There might be a small group of interested business people from the Americas trying to do things, but they're also up against the Chinese, they're also up against the Russians. I don't think there's one group over the whole world that is, you know, on the same page. I find it harder to believe now. I think the American way of viewing the world seems to be a little bit blinkered and seems to think that there is only one country, and that if it can be done in America, it's being done everywhere. Like if there is a small group of, you know, interested, and because it is being done in America, of course, your politics are being run by small groups of interested parties with lots of money. It's not just a free voting system. Like, that's ludicrous. It's laughable for you to assume you've got a democracy. or a democracy you do have, but democracies are bought and sold, aren't they? It's laughable to assume you are making the choices, because the Republican Party, heavily funded by the evangelical Christian movement, the people that lobby the governments, heavily funded by certain groups, and it doesn't matter which government, they're still lobbying them. It doesn't matter which party, they still got the fingers in the pies. You're still running a capitalist economic system. It's just a different flavour of sauce on top. So, you know, no one's voting for communism. Nor should you. You know, you should think more carefully about the future. But also, you've got the Electoral College, where your votes don't even count in America because the Electoral College listen to you and say maybe. It's a fucked up system. So's ours in the UK. In the UK, it's also fucked up. But I don't think it's this New World Order anymore. I don't think that it's this particular group. What I think it is some people, like, a good way to look at it in the UK is the way our politics work. You get some very rich people, and they send their children to the certain public schools, Eton, Harrow, and they go on from those public schools to the next public school, Oxford, Cambridge University eventually. You know, in Oxford and Cambridge University, they learn the politics. They become part of this political elite. They already are part of, you know, they're the children of. And then they enter into that world and dominate. Like, but our current politicians are exactly that, dominating through that process. Boris Johnson is exactly a product of that. The Bullingdon Club. So was Cameron, the Bullingdon Club. Like, you can look into that and see it totally exists. Totally exactly is how it's happening. And that's something we should actually go at hammer and tongs and sort out. They have gone at it hammer and tongs to help. Like, in my area, they've changed the political constituencies to make it more likely the Conservatives will win, because the Conservatives are in power, so they've changed the constituencies to make it more likely they'll win. It's just so fucked up. You look into it over the years, they just twist it and twist it and twist it. No wonder. Yeah, but the uninitiated, the unaware, might look at a funny thing on a banknote and say, oh, it's secret group. And it's not that secret, and it's not that clandestine. It's just a bit more like, do you know when they invented the light bulb? This is the best way I can explain the New World Order. You know, they invented the light bulb. Edison did. It was going well, wasn't it? All light bulbs. And then people were like, the competition in the capitalism. Competition. So we've got different companies now making light bulbs. We want to make our light bulb last the longest. I'm going to use a different filament to you. I'm going to make my glass tough. I'm not going to have cheapy light bulbs that break. I'm going to make my light bulb last the longest. So they started competing with each other to make the best light bulb. That's capitalism. That's capitalism. It's good, isn't it? Competition. Then what happened is they realised that they were selling fewer light bulbs, because overall they'd made better light bulbs and they lasted longer. So I think there were 4 companies, and they were saying to each other, listen, are you running out of money? Because is your income going down? Is this market going down? We thought this was a growth market. More and more people are buying light bulbs every year. But why are our profits going down? What it is we're spending too much money making good light bulbs, and they're lasting too long. So we're not getting repeat business, because these people buy a light bulb and they're not back for another 20 years. So what's going on with that? So they literally got together. This is before the Monopolies and Mergers Commission. Before creating monopolies was enshrined in law as illegal. They got together and they said, look, why don't we get together? Look, we're all doing the same thing here, but we're fighting each other. So why don't we get together, and for the good of society, let's make our light bulbs a bit more shit. Let's make our light bulbs burn out a bit quicker. If I use this filament, I can guarantee when it will burn out. I can build into my product the idea that it will break. So then people will come back and buy another one of my light bulbs. And if you don't do that, they're going to be buying your light bulbs. So we need to all do it. Now, you want to do it as well because you're not making enough money selling light bulbs. Remember, we've all got the same problem. We're not selling enough light bulbs. So what they did is they fixed it. They fixed it so the light bulbs would break. I don't know if you've bought any of these new modern light bulbs. These new LED light bulbs. They're supposed to last forever. But for some reason, mine seem to fucking break. And it's not the LEDs. They last forever. It's some other part of it. You can build into your products a lifespan. They do it on the phones. They build it into the phones. You'll actually download software onto your phone that will make it work shitty. Like they proved Apple were doing it in court. They were sending out updates when the new phone came out to slow down your old phone. And they said it was so it could actually, operate on the new systems, because otherwise it wouldn't be able to work properly. Slow it down so it has a chance to handle the new data. No, it was just so you buy a new phone because you think your old phone's working shit. They do it with cars. Cars are not built to last. Nothing these days is built to last. It's called planned obsolescence. And it's built into the economy. Planned obsolescence. They've designed things so you buy more things. Your toothbrush will not last forever. You'll need to buy another one. And they've already designed next year's toothbrush and the one after that and 10 years down the line. They haven't released them yet, because if they did release the most up-to-date toothbrush now, all the other ones that they've made and spent money on would be obsolete. They don't want to make their own stuff obsolete. They want to sell it to you first, let you throw it away, and then give you the next thing. So they create demand in the economy. That's demand creation. Planning your spending for you. You're going to want to buy a toothbrush, yeah. Today you're going to buy a normal in the 80s you buy a normal toothbrush. But next month you're going to be buying a toothbrush with a slightly bigger head. We've got them in the stock. We're ready to sell them to you, but we haven't shown you them yet. Next month you're going to be buying an electric toothbrush. We're onto that now, but we haven't shown you that yet. So they build up this stock, then they're ready to sell it. So if you looked into their stock rooms now at these toothbrush manufacturers, you'd see things that you're like, actually, I don't want my current toothbrush. I want that one. But they're not ready to let it out to the public because they haven't sold enough of these yet. It's got to be step by step. Built-in obsolescence, yeah, built-in obsolescence. So for me, that's the New World Order. What are you on about? They're getting together and they're planning to make the economy work a certain way. And why are they doing it? For their own benefit. But it wasn't a big boss. It wasn't Mr. New World Order came down from the big office and said, light bulb companies, come here. Need to talk to you about something. There wasn't that. There was just the sort of bull market economy, this greed. And this is what I said earlier about businesses being cancers. They will always behave like this. Businesses will always do this. I don't believe it of individuals. I was told that individuals would always make the choice that's best for themselves. Well, I can see from my own choices that I don't do that. So, I don't believe it. But I remember Tomorrow's World on TV, yeah. I remember Tomorrow's World, yeah, good point. How did they know what was going to happen in Tomorrow's World? Well, they already had the ideas in production already to show you. Tomorrow's World was an advert, so you would be interested in buying it. It was actually a measuring stick to see which things you would be interested in buying. The marketing. So I totally believe in the New World Order, but not in one, like, Jewish cabal. Not that. I believe that at the high end of most of these businesses, you get people in offices making decisions, you get people putting their heads together having meetings that are not for our benefit. And nor should they be, because they're running businesses. Why on earth should they try and benefit us? They're running fucking businesses. The New World Order is sort of inherently built in to a capitalist economic structure. If you're going to say supply and demand, free market economics are going to be the driving forces of our economy, you have to expect greed. You have to expect at the top they're going to put their heads together to do the best for themselves, and that the more you get, the more you're able to manipulate. You have to expect it. You have to work in contrast to it. You have to work against it if you want to have an ethically successful economy, if people are going to be happy. But, if you want to be productive, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. So maybe that's the New World Order. Maybe it's not, and if it was just one small group of people, let's say you've got, I don't know how many you want to have in the room. Let's say you've got 6 people in the room and they're the top bosses of this New World Order. How would that continue when they die? Who would they pass on their legacy to? Even Donald Trump's kids aren't half the Donald Trump that he is, are they? Who would you pass it on to? How would you induct those people into that room? Who would become the new... What if someone went off the reservation and started saying things? What would you do with them? You'd have to kill them. It would get so heavy and so big and so clandestine so quickly so quickly that it would be impossible to control. And I say impossible to control because these people, let's say somebody goes off the reservation in the top room, somebody starts saying things, they'd be one of the most rich people in the world that's got control over so much stuff, so they'd be able to be heard. You couldn't just knock them on the head. So I think it becomes a problem, because within that group, how are they not going to backbite and infight? You know, surely they all want control. Is there one big leader? Is it the devil? Or, you know, in that case, we're talking about something else. We're talking about spiritual concepts. Some people suggest that people can live longer than the ascribed natural life of a human. Spiritual concepts then. But that would have to play in first before we can discuss this. So maybe he's got the New World Order at the wrong end of the spectrum here. Maybe it's too deep. Maybe it shouldn't be as part of tier 1, but it is here. And I think the reason it's tier 1 here, early days, you know, not the deep things that we're going to get to at tier 9, but tier 1 is because it's from the 90s. So in the 90s, as the internet was first getting going, ideas were shared and spread and changed. And now we don't still think the same way. We don't still adhere to the same principles or ideas. And we've seen the economic systems change in ways that the Illuminati would not have expected or hoped or controlled, you know. We've seen things change in different ways. And so certain ideas and concepts that were put forward back then have not played out in reality. So it's been put by the wayside a little bit. But the general concept, the New World Order, you know, the general concept of people that have more than you are fucking you over, yeah, that's true. And that's why this seems to ring true to so many people. Yes, at the top end, you know, in the Boris Johnson rooms, and he won't be in power in Parliament for all that time, but the Conservative Party will be. And when he's given up being Prime Minister, the next one will be lining Boris's pockets still. You know, they're all in it together, this group. They are like a New World... They're not the New World Order, but they're trying their best to operate like that. And they have been since before this terminology was coined. In America's a bit more of a new world, so you think you've got more modern concepts and you don't look at the rest of the world in terms of Europe and all that. But, you know, surely, yes. Surely there are clandestine people doing things to your detriment. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. But... one organised group that you can be inducted into with a sort of, you know, specific set of aims and goals? No. No, the world's too diverse for that. There's too much competition.
In the book of Revelations in the Bible, it details that there will be a one world government or one world order in the end times. And this will be in much more specific detail. And
I also think we should have a one world government because we are one world. I think it's fucking ridiculous that we should continue on in this way of... I used the term bull earlier because bull and bear market economics, but you know, a friend of mine once analogized this sort of thing as like a group of bulls all charging at the same gate. You know, everyone wants to get rich, everyone wants to control the population. You might be different competing economies, but you're charging at the same gate, so you're dragging things in the same direction. So I think it's more like that than an organized cartel. But the idea that we should have one world government is not a bad idea. You know, the idea that we should put together our collective endeavour and say, look, we all want to stop world hunger. We all want to stop pollution. We all want to stop, you know, we all want to work together for certain common goals. And how do we do that? By working together. If we didn't have a world government now, we might not have the same food shortages because they might be able to work that shit out. Do you know what I'm saying? A bad world government that's like all capitalist and horrible, oh no, I don't want that. But a good beneficent world government, yeah, of course I want that. And what if aliens came? What if aliens came now and attacked us? Who's going to lead the charge? Who's going to fight the aliens? Well, the Chinese will do their bit, we'll do our bit, no one else will do their bit. And the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forums are two slightly different ideas. And God damn it, they're not perfect, are they? Certainly not the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is the closest thing to a fucking cartel New World Order as you can get. They're setting prices, and I mean, you've got the OPEC as well, oil producing countries, OPEC. In a world where monopolies are seen to be against the law, OPEC, the oil producing countries, organisation of petroleum producing countries, they can get together and set the price of oil. That should be illegal. So yeah, I hope your crisis has been averted, Lindsay. While we bring you this message of being perverted by the media, they're not like me. I want to sing one of my songs. They can get you with the drugs and with the alcohol, stick you on the minimum wage or on the dole, it doesn't matter. My life is worth more than £10 an hour. I've got doubts about the system to scatter. I mean, the matter is great. I can see the enemies. Got excited. Calm down. They can get you with the drugs and with the alcohol, stick you on the... I'll do a big face. Where's me? I'm just doing my random chat. This is me. It just comes into my head and I can't help it. They can get you with the drugs and with the alcohol, stick you on the minimum wage or on the dole, it doesn't matter. My life is worth more than £10 an hour. I've got doubts about the system to scatter. I mean, I've got to get my words right. I've got doubt. They can get you with the drugs and with the alcohol, stick you on the minimum wage or on the dole, it doesn't matter. My life is worth more than £10 an hour. I've got doubts about the system to scatter. I mean, the matter is great. I see my enemies are waiting. I'm a vegan. Why can't I get my words right? I mean, the matter is great. They can get you with the drugs and with the alcohol, stick you on the minimum wage or on the dole, it doesn't matter. My life is worth more than £7 an hour. I've got doubts about the system to scatter. I mean, the matter is great. I can see my enemies are waiting. I'm a vegan. They see the evil in the world. I can't get my lyrics right. They're my lyrics out of my head, and I can't get them right. What about verse 2? You should be meeting in the street and protesting instead of buying into all the shit that they're selling. They fuck up your mind while you're still an infant so they can profit off your weird attachments. Now you've got to get it, got to have it. It never stops. You can't break the habit. You fucked up rabbits like sheep. You think of them as lives, then you think of them as meat, you freaks. You're not real like me, always dead underneath. They're always dead underneath. I got more lyrics to that. I got more. I got another verse as well. Anyway, I'm just enjoying myself on my own. I'm supposed to be running a show. There's enough food to feed the world every single day. Yes, exactly. There is enough food to feed everyone, but there isn't the will to do it because we run on capitalist ideas. Like, we teach it in schools. We teach it to the young. It's just bizarre to me. We know capitalism fails us. We know it fails us. I've got a full song to that, Lindsay. I've got the full song. I've recorded it on the other computer. I'll show it us one day. I've hidden it away from the world for years. But yeah, we know that capitalism fails us on so many levels. Like, capitalism, you wouldn't have, like I said earlier, streetlights. You wouldn't have provision for the vulnerable. Capitalism fails. You'd have all your toothbrushes lined up for the next 20 years and they'd all cost you more and more and more and they'd wear out quicker and quicker and quicker. Well done, capitalism. It's just shit. It just doesn't work. We have to heavily regulate it. Why don't we wake up and actually heavily regulate it properly so that everyone can benefit? If the aliens came down now and attacked us, we wouldn't be able to fight back as a common group because we don't have a common goal and a common group and a government. Government's a funny word. Government's a funny word, people see it with negativity, but why can't the Chinese, the Russians, the Americans, the Africans, the Europeans, the Asians, why can't we all fucking come together and be humans? Why can't we be humans and say, look, forget your lines and your flags and I like the lines and the flags in some ways because we can celebrate our culture, because we can have the Eurovision Song Contest, because we can have a football competition. Not if we have a war. Not if we have a fighting war. Not if you're going to charge me more money for that because not that. Not if it's holding the oil and you get rich and we get poor. Like, not if you draw a line just here, which meant you get rich and I get poor. No thanks. Not if my MPs are drawing the line so that they stay in power. No thanks. Not that. One of our MPs is a rapist. That's truth. Well, alleged rapist until the police have done their investigation. So I'm not having it. I don't believe it. It's just rubbish. It's fucking rubbish. Don't look at me, I'll vanish, I'll magic like in Spanish. So, like, it's rubbish. We know it's rubbish. We know it's rubbish. Yeah. So I think we should absolutely sort that out. We have a one world government. And no, it's not an evil, nasty one world government. It's a one world government that says you can't do these horrible things. It's an ethical government, not an economic government. It's a government with the most beloved ethical people put forward to you know, provide a counterbalance to that economics, to that greed. You know, it's the Gandhis and the, I don't know, think of the loving people. And it's not people who are trying to get money out of it. You know, put Jesus on that government. Have Jesus on that, you know, that sort of thing. That sort of thing. You got a fiver in your pocket, you're feeling rich because you've got a rich life. Exactly. I don't have a lot of money. I'm very lucky in many, many, many ways. And when I say lucky, I compare myself to people who are born in like Bosnia or Serbia, or, you know, they're European countries, Bosnia, Serbia. You know, I feel lucky when I compare myself to people that live in Ukraine, for Christ's sake, or Syria. I feel lucky when I compare myself to people that are born in Africa and have to like burn electric wires to try and reclaim the copper for a pittance a day. I feel lucky in a global sense. So if I forget that I'm a global citizen, that would be rude of me, because it's my job to make their lives better. I'm in the fucking top slot. I live hand to mouth, charity essentially. But I've got this lovely cardigan, I've got a radiator, I've got lighting. I have to pay the fucking bill, but I've got lighting. You know, aren't we so fucking lucky? Do you know what I mean? Aren't we so fucking lucky? So I try and remember that all the time. And I think if we can come together and do something for the betterment of the people who are suffering in the world, that would look like a world government, wouldn't it? So maybe we should do that.
We get later on into the iceberg, but at this tier, it's basically just referring to the idea that all governments want to come together to make one government. I know I keep like...
And obviously all governments don't want to come together to make one government. Obviously they don't. If they wanted to rule the world, especially 1984 is not an instruction manual, but in 1984 you are constantly at war with Oceania or Asiana. Like, there is always a war. We've always been at war. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. Big Brother is watching you. In our world, we're always at war. We're always at war, but not because like we've got one global government who always wanted to be at war. But if they came together and formed one global government, they would continue the wars because it would actually benefit the global government. It would. 1984 is not an instruction manual. Freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. Sorry, freedom is slavery. Yeah. War is peace, ignorance is strength. I'm getting a bit distracted.
Advertising later into the iceberg, but there's good reason for it. Some of the ones down there are insane and get into specifics of how one world government can be achieved and things such as. So stay tuned. Next is the Nibriu Cataclysm.
I've got no idea what the Nibriu Cataclysm is, but I'm halfway through tier 1, so I'm going to try and... how long have we done now? We've got 10 more minutes. Let's see if we can get through tier 1 in the last 10 minutes.
Is a planet, or also known as Planet X, that was predicted by a scientist in 2003 to collide with the Earth in 2003. So,
oh, well, it didn't collide in 2003, so it's obviously bullshit then. A lot of scientists will make a lot of predictions, and if you make predictions, then at the time you can maybe draw a lot of attention, but if they don't come true, then they're bullshit.
Pretty well debunked, but the term is still used to apply to an idea that a meteor or any other body could hit the planet one day and kill us.
It could hit us one day, but it's very unlikely to happen for a number of reasons. One, the Oort cloud. It's more likely to hit the other debris surrounding our solar system. Two, the solar system. It's more like if you had a planet-sized body enter our solar system, it's got to get past some of the bigger planet-sized bodies on its way to Earth. Like Pluto's no longer a planet, is it? But you know what I'm saying? It's got to go past Saturn, so it might hit that first. And then third, you've got the idea that we're not going to be here for such a long time. Like in cosmic terms, in universal terms, one day the sun will burn out and swallow the Earth, and you know, like we might not be here such a long time. In the infinite amount of time that you have in the universe, eventually some sort of planetary body most likely will come through and hit another planetary body, absolutely. But you know, we're giving it that wide space of time, whereas we don't actually have that wide space of time. We only exist in a small fraction of that wide space of time whilst we're in the Goldilocks zone around the sun. So it's more likely that it won't happen. Actually, it's more likely it won't happen.
So now we get into the fun stuff. The Bilderberg meetings is an event that really does happen every year.
Okay, now we get into the fun stuff, and we've still got half of tier 1 to do, so I think I'm going to alight there on these tiers. I think we'll come back to this. We only managed to do 8 minutes, but I've done an hour and 50. So I think that's good, though, because I think if we keep our, like I was saying at the start of today's episode, if we keep our episodes to approximately 2 hours long, it means you get a chance to watch it, to be live, to interact. It can also exist as, I'm trying to make our episodes so that rather than me having to edit them, we just do a good show that can exist on YouTube. So I hope that we've done that today. There's been a lot of interesting things. Yeah, I hope your crisis are sorted out there, Lindsay. Yeah, I hope your crisis is sorted out. I wonder if there's anything else that I had to bring to the table today. Make sure you go and watch our... If you don't like Genshin Impact, don't fucking watch it. But I also play Genshin Impact on Twitch stream and I upload it. So I've uploaded a new one there today. Streamer Luck 2 Wishes. So you might like Genshin Impact. I'll tell you what I like about Genshin Impact is it's a free to play game. And whilst it does have some gambling mechanics, people might say, oh, if you want those characters you have to spend money and gamble. I'm not spending any money. I'm not spending any money on that game and I'm having loads of fun. And I don't even see it as gambling if you get you get the free wishes. If you play enough, you can gamble your free wishes. So there's a limit to that. It could be considered gambling. It's worth a conversation. But personally, I've not felt that pull myself. I found it really, really fun, Genshin Impact. It's a really fun break from my daily routine. Do it once a day in the evening, a little bit of a game on Genshin Impact. And I'm playing it through on stream with our Twitch streams, with games. In the same way as I've talked about all this conspiracy stuff today, I like to dig in. I like to unpack. I like to do a bit of a critique. So I don't just play a game. I talk about why. I talk about how. I talk about what and how it makes us feel. So sometimes we do a one-off game like we played the other day. That we did a one-night stand game, didn't we? We just played it off, one-off game. But other times I'll do the full... Like if Genshin Impact is a long game, I'll play it all before I want to give it a judgment. I think that's fair. So that's what we're doing over there on Genshin Impact videos. And they exist on the stream. They exist here on the Ganji Kid channel. There was something else I was going to say, I'm sure. That's not a good look, is it? Sitting here going, oh, there's something else I was going to say. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, we're pushing towards 1,000 subs. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It's a bit late for me to say this now, it's at the end of the video. But if you've enjoyed this, then please subscribe. Because it's pushing us towards this magical mark of 1,000 subs. And that means I can monetize it and I can actually start to turn this into something that is self-fulfilling, not self-fulfilling prophecy, but so like if I can provide this has to provide a financial backing security for me so that I can fucking do it. That's the basics. And as you've heard me talk, I can't just do it like everyone else. I've got to try and do it ethically. So it is difficult. So I do want to monetize. And I have had to come to terms with the fact that we will be promoting advertising through monetization. But it also enables the audience to support the channel, so that's good. And another part of the monetization is that I've been able to switch off certain adverts, like gambling adverts. On my other channel that is monetized, I've switched off the gambling adverts. I've switched off the financial adverts. They're the most profitable ones, but I've switched them off because I can choose what kind of adverts I do and don't show if I choose to advertise. So it gives me some measure of control. Plants vs Zombies is great, isn't it? It's great. I do enjoy that. That's an indie game that became big. You know, some of these indie games that became big, you can check out a video here. Oh, it's not up yet. I made a documentary about indie games and the people that make them, and I'm going to broadcast it on this channel soon. So keep up with that. Keep looking out for that. Yeah. Yeah. Nice to catch you. Nice to see you, Gemstone. That's a cool name, Gemstone. It's nice to see you all and be here with you. I'll be back again tomorrow. If I'm not here at exactly 2 PM GMT, some days I miss it because I just feel poorly or what have you, or, you know, tired, or I'm making a thumbnail maybe and it takes me ages to get it sorted. What have you, you know, all that good stuff. Just help us out. Throw us the subs. Tune in. I'll be here. We're building. We're growing. I listen to you. I don't ignore you. I don't treat you like idiots. I don't have the same opinions on all things. That's fine. We're human beings. The main thing in the long term is that we've got to reach out, hands around the world. And you might not want a global government. I might not, maybe government's the wrong word, what we looked at today, but we've got to reach out, hands around the world, helping each other, helping the most vulnerable. They might not be our immediate neighbours. They might be the people that live in Syria or don't live there anymore because they had to fucking run away because we were blowing their country up with our tax money. So, I think in the big picture, we've got to reach out and make these important connections. And I think variety streaming like I do can help, because whilst we can alight on some serious topics like we have today, we can do politics. I might do Richie Sunak tomorrow. I want to lay into him and give him a good kicking, but I can't find that quote where he said he was cutting business tax. I can't believe he cut business tax yesterday. They get tiresome and boring, don't they? Tiresome and argumentative and boring. And it's also important that we show that we are unified and together and that we have common goals and common ground. So thank you for sharing me on my blog. Thank you on your blog. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. It absolutely, anything like that absolutely does help. And share your blog in the comments, not in the chat here, because it goes away when I finish the video. It's on the video, like you can see it on the video, but it goes away sometimes. I don't know why, but if you put it in the comment underneath the video later, I can, when I get my notifications and my comments like this, I can pick them out and I can put it on my notepad, things to look at. So pop it in the comments. I won't see it as being rude or anything like that. Obviously, if you pepper all my videos with links to your things, then I will see it as being rude. But absolutely pop it in the comments. I'm not deleting comments. I'm not trying to, unless they're rude, unless they're mean and horrible, I'm not deleting comments. I'm trying to be as open-minded as possible. But you've also got to remember that I don't believe in the Tartarian. I don't believe in the conspiracies. I've thought about them deeply and I don't believe in them. So I will be doing more debunking. Martin's made a new video. There's another one from our favourite homeschooler. So I will have to come back to those topics and sort of say my piece on them. But hopefully we can do it in such a way that we don't make people feel upset. That's really important to me. Even if I don't agree with your ideas, I do not want to upset you. That is not what I would hate it if I was able to prove to you that, if I was able to debunk something and prove to you that your ideas were wrong, but it left you bereft and upset and void of ideas and feeling like someone's beaten you down. That would be awful. So the result that I want to achieve is that we feel happy, positive, motivated, and together. That's the result. And hopefully not all, paying into and subscribing to all those conspiracy things. But that's up to you. That's up to you. Bigger picture, long term. So yeah, I've done enough chuff now. I've done enough chat. If you want to chat, we can chat. If you want to rap, we can rap. I've just ticked over 2 hours. I should have kept it to 1:59. It would have looked more manageable. Now it's gone over 2 hours. So you be good, my little puckos. You are good. And if you can't be good, you're naughty.